He may be even more famous than his friend Sean Diddy Combs, and now he's facing similar accusations of sexual assault in civil court. But Jay-Z isn't backing down without a fight. We're going to be taking a closer look at the longtime friendship between the music moguls and how their connection could have serious ripple effects. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Since even before Sean Diddy Combs was arrested in September, even as far back as March when his two mansions were raided by agents from the Department of Homeland Security, there has been speculation that Combs' celebrity friends, his associates, that they could all be pulled into this legal nightmare. And one of the people at risk, often mentioned online, was Jay-Z, real name Shawn Carter, who came up in the New York rap scene alongside Sean Combs. And just a few days ago, Texas attorney Tony Buzbee made it official. He filed an amended complaint on behalf of a John Doe who says that she was raped by Combs and Carter when she was just 13 years old, that this happened at a VMA's after party back in 2000. Now, the original complaint mentioned Celebrity A and Celebrity B, a man and woman, as being present for and even Celebrity A participating in the alleged assault. Well, now Celebrity A has been identified as Jay-Z, who has adamantly denied anything like that ever happening. He is very, very clear on that. In fact, he has accused Tony Buzbee of extortion, saying that Buzbee's attempts to get celebrities to pay out huge sums of money in exchange for not being named in civil lawsuits with what he claims are false allegations amounts to blackmail. In fact, Jay-Z is believed to be the John Doe who just recently filed a lawsuit against Tony Buzbee anonymously, claiming extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress. And we'll get to more of that in just a moment. But first, I want to focus on these connections between Jay-Z and Sean Combs. I mean, after all, why were people making these associations between the two even before there was a lawsuit? Well, let's go back in time. 1997, after their mutual friend Biggie Smalls was killed, Jay-Z and Combs collaborated, and they collaborated on Combs' second album, for example, In My Lifetime, Volume 1. They both faced criminal charges in the late 90s, Jay-Z for allegedly stabbing a man at a club in New York, Combs for fleeing the scene of a nightclub shooting also in New York. Both avoided jail time, got probation instead. The two reportedly bonded over their experiences. Both men were wildly successful in their careers as music producers and rappers. Forbes announced in 2019 that Jay-Z became hip-hop's first billionaire. Reportedly now has an estimated net worth of around $2.5 billion, again, according to Forbes. 2021, Forbes reported Combs was worth around $900 million. Became a billionaire in 2022, reportedly. Now, to be clear, since then, with everything going on, he's lost brand deals, other investments, so now he's estimated to have a net worth at around $400 million. But going back to Jay-Z, he is, of course, married to Beyonce, right? The two started dating in the early 2000s when Beyonce was reportedly 19, Jay-Z 33. Beyonce collaborated with Sean Combs, though, on a song in 2003 called Summertime. And the three music titans, they were often seen at parties and public events over the last few decades together, photos, videos of them together. Now, Jay-Z's family is standing behind him during this recent development, this lawsuit. In fact, the family appeared together at the Los Angeles premiere of Disney's Mufasa: The Lion King on Monday. That's, by the way, the same day that it was announced this rape lawsuit came to be. And by the way, 12-year-old Blue Ivy, Beyonce and Jay-Z's oldest daughter, she co-stars with her mom in the new film. By the way, I got to say, as you're watching Sidebar, this kind of content, I don't know, but it just goes to show, at least to me, how important personal safety is, right? And you know where that comes up a lot? You don't think about it as much? Protecting your privacy online. I think you would be shocked at how much of your personal information is out there, like your address, your phone number. Do you ever wonder why you get so many spam calls and emails? That's because all that information is all public, but that is where our sponsor, Incogni, comes in. This is a service that helps you take control of your online privacy by removing personal data from data brokers, these huge companies that sell and trade your information without your permission. Here's the kicker. These data brokers have to remove you from their database if you ask them to. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have the time to call data brokers, well, again, that's where Incogni comes in. They contact these companies for you to get your online safety back. You don't have to do a thing. They alert you after the request has been completed. So I highly recommend giving Incogni a try. And right now, everyone who uses code Sidebar at Incogni.com/sidebar gets 60% off of an annual Incogni plan. Now, Jay-Z and Diddy, they have had similar paths in the music industry and entertainment world when you think about it. For instance, both have their own entertainment companies. Roc Nation for Jay-Z, Bad Boy Entertainment for Combs. Roc Nation represents artists like Rihanna and J. Cole. Bad Boy has signed Machine Gun Kelly, Janelle Monáe. Both men dip their toes into the fashion world. Jay-Z and Damon Dash are the founders of Rocawear. Combs launched Sean John. The duo have also used their fame to leverage major deals with liquor brands. Combs is famous for his partnership with Ciroc Vodka, often featuring it in his music videos, at his infamous parties. Jay-Z invested millions of dollars in Armand de Bernac champagne before he eventually sold his stake in the company for more than $300 million. 2015, Jay-Z launched Tidal, this music streaming service. Combs started the television network Revolt TV in 2013. And both Combs and Jay-Z, they have been very instrumental in the music industry and have launched the careers of other artists. They both famously mentored Usher, who has said that he went to New York to learn about the business when he was still a teen, got a crash course in what the scene was like in the early 2000s. And years later, by the way, Combs would offer the same type of mentorship to a young Justin Bieber. Both Jay-Z and Combs, they appeared alongside DJ Khaled as he was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2022. So you have two titans in the music industry who appeared to be quite close. And all of this just goes to show how much time Jay-Z and Combs have spent together over the past few decades. Is it possible that Jay-Z had no idea of the accusations against Sean Combs? I mean, assuming that these allegations are true, allegations that he raped and sexually assaulted both men and women, even children, and then he held these freak-offs, basically these orgies that involve commercial sex workers and drugs and camera equipment. Is it possible Jay-Z didn't know anything about this, assuming these allegations are true? And now Jay-Z finds himself caught up in this scandal because Tony Busby has named him in this lawsuit. And before I even go into the lawsuit for a second, the fact that he has just been sued and the fact that he is fighting this, you do have to wonder, will other people come forward with other lawsuits against Jay-Z? These are just allegations. We don't know if they're true or not. But what happened with Sean Combs? Once Cassandra Ventura filed a lawsuit against him, every lawsuit came out. So it'll be very curious to see what happens next. But to be clear, what does Tony Busby say about Jay-Z, the artist, the businessman? Well, the complaint begins. Defendant Sean Combs, along with his longtime friend and collaborator, Shawn Carter, drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after-party but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs had been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. He believes he is above the law. He is not. His close friend Shawn Carter has been with Combs during many such instances described herein. Both perpetrators must face justice. So that seems to suggest that Shawn Carter, Jay-Z, was not only present or participated in this alleged, what is essentially a crime, but for other instances. And that's really interesting. That's why I bring up this idea of, could he be hit with more lawsuits if you take these allegations as true? Now, the complaint goes on to say, Combs and Carter were not simply occasional collaborators in the music industry. The two men developed a close friendship that has been well documented from the late 1990s to the present. Together, they attended countless music industry events for each other's business ventures, parties, and after-parties. Indeed, the two are apparently so close that Combs stated in 2023 that Carter is the only person, other than Combs' mother, who is allowed to call him by his legal first name of Shawn. In 2000, near the height of their fame, power, and influence, Combs and Carter attended the 2000 Video Music Awards in New York City. Afterwards, Combs hosted an after-party for many of the most famous celebrities in the music and entertainment industries, including Carter, which is where the events alleged in this complaint occurred. I should also say that Busby also used this complaint to address an alleged harassment campaign that he claims Jay-Z started after Busby reached out about his involvement in the suit. The complaint reads, Carter was identified in plaintiff's original complaint as Celebrity A. Prior to the filing of this amended complaint, Carter received a letter from plaintiff's counsel requesting a mediation to resolve this matter. Upon present information and belief, Jay-Z responded to said letter by not only filing an utterly frivolous lawsuit, the one that I mentioned before, but by also orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiffs' lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff from naming Jay-Z herein. This effort was meant to scare plaintiff and to discredit her counsel. That effort failed. Indeed, plaintiff chose to file this amendment as a result of the egregious conduct perpetuated by Carter. So for now, the plaintiff has filed as a Jane Doe, keeping her identity as a secret. Jay-Z's legal team has filed a flurry of legal paperwork calling for her to be unmasked so that Jay-Z can face his accuser on an even playing field. We'll see how that shakes out. I actually dedicated a whole other sidebar to that. But for now, we don't know her name. Now, I will say, it is interesting, as we're talking about how close Jay-Z and Sean Combs are, or were, because based on the recent filings from Jay-Z's legal team in response to this lawsuit, there seems to be, arguably, a distancing of Jay-Z from Sean Combs. Why do I say that? Because, for instance, in Jay-Z's effort to say that Jane Doe should not remain anonymous, they address the argument from Jane Doe where she says, look, I can't reveal my name for security reasons, that Combs has engaged in threats of violence in the past, that if I reveal who I am, I could be in danger. Okay, Jay-Z responds to that by saying, or his counsel responds to that by saying the following. Plaintiff's counsel stresses that other alleged victims he represents have stated that Mr. Combs made threats of violence against them or against the client's family members if the client disclosed to anyone the facts of the sexual assaults. But there is certainly no allegation that Carter ever threatened to harm plaintiff, nor could he, as he has no idea who she is. Or how about this? Those cases concerned Combs, who is under indictment and detained following a raft of criminal and civil allegations against him. But plaintiff has now sought to sully the reputation of Mr. Carter, who has never been accused of misconduct in his 37 adult years. So you're seeing that distancing in a way. At least that's what I saw. Now, going back to the actual complaint here, let's talk about it. So Jane Doe claims that when she was 13 years old, she went to the VMAs, the Video Music Awards in New York City. Now, she says she didn't have a ticket, so she couldn't get into the event, but she walked around outside Radio City Music Hall, where one of the limo drivers for Sean Combs reportedly told her to come back later and that he would take her to a party that Combs was throwing. So Jane Doe claims that when she got there, she had to sign paperwork that she didn't really understand, reportedly some sort of non-disclosure agreement. And she was also allegedly handed a drink at this party, which she believes was drugged. She says she started feeling woozy, she didn't feel right, so she went to find somewhere to lay down. The complaint says Combs entered the room along with defendant Carter and a female celebrity, Celebrity B. Plaintiff immediately recognized all three celebrities. Combs aggressively approached plaintiff with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her and said, "You are ready to party." Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. Jane Doe claims that both Jay-Z and Sean Combs raped her that night before she was finally able to get away. The lawsuit says Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken aback, Combs stopped his attempt. When Combs backed away in surprise, plaintiff grabbed her clothes and shoes and ran out of the bedroom, holding her dress in front of her like a towel. She ran around the residence until she found the front door and was able to leave the party. Although there were other guests still at the party, no one appeared to take notice of plaintiff's distress or attempted to help her. Once outside, plaintiff put her clothes back on and left the scene in the dark. And she says she was able to make it to a gas station and call for her dad to come pick her up. So this allegedly happened in 2000, by the way. It's now 2024. Hasn't there been a statute of limitations issue? Hasn't the time run out even on a serious claim like this? Well, this is a civil case, not a criminal case. But also Jane Doe is filing under New York City's Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. And that provides a look-back window for victims to file these kinds of claims against their alleged abusers. It doesn't even have to be sexual abuse. It just has to be violence that is motivated by gender. So the complaint explains a little bit more how this fits in. It says the requirement that the crime of violence be committed because of gender or on the basis of gender and due at least in part to an animus based on the victim's gender is satisfied because defendants Combs and Carter forced minor plaintiff to engage in a sexual interaction without consent. Jane Doe could not effectively consent because of her age. The non-consensual sexual touching of a minor herein presented a serious risk of physical injury and in fact caused such injury. And by the way, Combs and Jay-Z, they aren't the only people named as defendants in this case. The complaint also names several of Combs' businesses, like Bad Boy Entertainment LLC and Combs Enterprises LLC. The complaint alleges the Combs businesses enabled and conspired with Combs and Carter to commit the crime of violence motivated by gender because Combs and Carter sexually assaulted plaintiff at a party related to or referencing Combs' business. So for now, the focus of the legal fight for Jay-Z is getting the judge to rule that Jane Doe must reveal her identity or throw out the lawsuit. And by the way, if she has to reveal her identity, there's a chance she might not proceed with this case. Does she want to be public going after both Shawn Combs and Jay-Z? It's something you have to think about. But he is requesting from the court an expedited hearing on this anonymity issue. So maybe it will be resolved sooner rather than later. We'll see what happens. And we'll, of course, keep you updated on the very latest in the Shawn Combs case and now the Jay-Z case. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.